Good evening. Welcome to the Village Board meeting for the Village of Pleasantville. Today is Monday, April 30, 2012. This is a special meeting of the board, an extra meeting this month for the purpose of passing the village budget for the forthcoming year. So we don't have our usual array of announcements and resolutions. I did want to touch on one point, and that is that many people have asked what happened on Saturday night around 6 o'clock when we were all sitting quietly in our homes and heard a big noise. There was an explosion at the substation on the Con Ed property on Manville Road, back opposite the Ledge Rock condominiums and behind Foxwood. There was a substantial explosion. It created a fire, which in the end was extinguished relatively rapidly. We've asked Con Ed for some further information about what actually happened, and we'll let you know when we get that. But the good news is that nobody was injured, nobody was down there. Some piece of electrical equipment unexpectedly exploded, so it did not cause blackouts, it didn't cause power outages in the area, but it left Con Ed with a substantial venture to clean up and put things back together. So when we get the final word about what happened, we will certainly pass it on, but thanks certainly to our Pleasantville Volunteer Fire Department that was on the spot almost immediately, as well as to the Pleasantville Ambulance Corps, which was there as well. Happily, their services weren't needed. Our police were right on the case, and also thanks to Con Edison for mustering a quick and I think effective team to assess what had happened and what protection was needed for the firefighters who might go in there. So as it happened, fortunately, it was relatively short duration, but a scary moment, especially for the people in the immediate neighborhood who had pictures rattling off the walls. So back to the events of the evening. We have 4 resolutions tonight, which are the adoption of our budget, water rates, refuse collection rates, and pool rates. Calling number 84.
Whereas the village administrator presented a tentative budget for the fiscal year 2012-2013, and whereas a public hearing was held on April 9, 2012 before the Board of Trustees. Now therefore be it resolved that the Village of Pleasantville's 2012-2013 fiscal year budget is adopted as follows. General fund expenditures, $13,276,568. General fund real property tax levy, $9,444,905. General fund non-property tax revenues, $3,501,138, and general fund appropriated fund balance, $330,525. Assessed valuation is $111,695,758. Tax rate per 1,000 assessed valuation is 84.5592. Tax rate increase is 2.87%.
Is there a second?
Second.
So as all of you are aware, New York State passed a 2% tax cap law this year that affects all of us. It affects each of our budgets. There are 8 zillion different rules about how the cap is calculated, but our finance department and administration has gone through an elaborate and careful review, and our 2.87% tax increase represents an increase in the tax levy that is within the tax cap. So we have lived within the tax cap, although right at the edge of the tax cap. And I can tell you probably the most salient number to note is that, as Colleen read, our general fund expenditures are $13,276,000. The adopted budget that we're in right now is $13,271,000. So it's essentially a difference of only $5,000 in the adopted budgets and the budget we propose to adopt tonight, despite the fact that our pension costs spiked by over $200,000, and obviously there are increases in many other lines. So what this budget represents is an attempt to deliver the services we've always delivered. We haven't eliminated anything that we have historically done, but as all as you know, we've nipped and tucked in every way we can. Your new garbage schedules that we initiated this fall are an example of one of those things in an effort to create find ways to do more with less, and that has happened really throughout all of our departments and all the budget lines. Witness the fact that we are confronting a situation where our our proposed general fund expenditures haven't changed in a material way over the previous year. So, Patty, do you want to add anything to that?
No, I appreciate you being on point with that analysis, Mayor, and I do just want to thank the board for your confidence in what we've been able to represent. We're delighted to present this budget to you and to our community. We feel that it maintains levels of service that are not only efficient but are economical given the constraints that we work under, and I couldn't have been happier with the effort that the departments had made and that all of our employees had made to make sure that we're returning another positive fund balance this year. So everything looks like it's heading in the right direction despite, what's going on in a more global picture. I'm happy to say that Pleasantville has always done its best, to manage itself professionally and carefully.
I just want to emphasize what Peter said, and that the village's increased expenditures about $5,000. The state pension costs, which we do not control, which are dictated to us by the state, as Peter said, was up $200,000, which is just shy of a 20% increase. And that goes into our tax cap calculation. And I want to keep reminding people of this, because ultimately our ability to live within the tax cap will be, in fact, very much dictated by the state. And if the state's really serious about this tax cap and controlling taxes, they do need to learn how to control their own spending. If they'd only increased $5,000 on 13, which isn't even a decimal point percentage increase, their expenditures, I can assure you, our taxes would be a lot lower. So keep up your messages to the state that the cap is just one part, the easy part of what they have to do if they were serious about helping the residents and businesses of the great state of New York. Thank you.
It's also worth noting, I think, that one of the realities we confront is that unless we decide not to do something that we currently do, there aren't any easy masterstrokes that are going to save us a significant amount of money. As you know, we've spent the better part of the last 18 months talking with our neighbors in the town of Mount Pleasant, as well as the county, about ways we might reconsider delivering our police services. And as of the moment, as I have commented before, our proposal to consolidate with the town of Mount Pleasant has not, in a paper analysis, produced substantial savings for a bunch of reasons, which we can go into on another occasion. And as of the moment, despite 18 months of on and off discussion and a lot of effort on our part, the county has not been able to return to us a proposal for the kinds of outsourced services that they provided to the town of Ossining in what at the time was presented as a potential blueprint for other communities. So there will be pros and cons to any of those kinds of options, and I don't sit here to say that I have prejudged any one of them as being better than another, but fact of the matter is you've got a board here that has been diligently seeking information about every opportunity we have, and at the moment the best opportunity that exists for us this day at the end of April 2012 is to run our own police department, and we continue to look for every option we might have to find ways to deliver that service in a cheaper way. So over time, we're more than happy to get everybody's comment, and in fact actively encourage everybody to let us know whether you think there's something the village does that in the future we could consider reducing in some way in an effort to save money. But in the near term, the happy news is that we have lived within the 2% tax cap, although right at the edge of it, and we are in a stable financial position. As Jonathan alluded, it will not be easy to do the same next year, especially since the 2% tax cap essentially means that big new expenses, including things like paving roads and fixing buildings when they're in trouble, are also included within the cap. So as we work our way through the capital planning project for the projects we may want to consider in the next year, those will all be discussions to be included in the context of the cap. So Anything further?
I'd just like to make a comment as the new kid on the block. I just want to say, for people to realize that a representative from the board goes through each section of the budget line by line. I've been very impressed, actually, about the budget process. It runs very lean, it runs very efficiently, but I think people should know that, we really do take it very seriously. We question all the department heads about what's gone on, and I think what we presented to you is a very impressive budget. And, as Jonathan mentions, the big costs that we have are, pensions and salaries. And as those go up, it's going to be harder and harder to live within the tax cap. But this year we were able to do that.
Thank you. And lastly, thank you, Patty. Thank you, Mary Schwartz, our treasurer, and Pam Hoffman, not here tonight, our deputy treasurer. And thanks to every one of our department heads who put a whole lot of hours into this. And as Colleen indicated, we've got notebooks and stacks of paper that arrived just tonight, really trying to get to the bottom of a lot of things. And I think that over the last several years, we've not only tightened up a lot of things, but put in place some models for review of things in the future that are going to help us a lot. So, all in favor of resolution number 84, adopting the budget?
Aye.
Aye. Motion approved. Mindy.
Resolved that the Board of Trustees of the Village of Pleasantville hereby approves the water rates for fiscal year 2012-2013 as per attached. I'll just note that the rates for a resident are currently $53.50. The proposed rate is $58.85. Non-resident districts $68.43. Proposed rate $75.27. Non-resident non-district $80.44. Proposed $88.48, and bulk sales $63, and the proposed rate is $69.30. And the ready-to-serve rates are pretty much a 10% increase across the board, and those are broken down. 15, pardon me. And those are broken down by the size of the pipe that runs into the who's being served. So, and that you could all find in the record.
Is there a second?
Second.
So, water rates are a subject, obviously, that we hear a lot about. For those of you who don't know, Pleasantville is a part owner of a filtration plant with the town of Newcastle in Millwood, and the water that we receive comes from the New York City reservoir system primarily through the Catskill and Croton aqueducts. It goes through the Millwood treatment plant and is filtered to a very high level of purity, and then it's sent through pipes to the Village of Pleasantville. We have storage tanks high on the hill above the pool, and we also are in the midst of a bunch of improvements, as you know, digging up the old village and adding and replacing the last of our old water mains. So the bottom line is this village, thanks to boards that preceded us, fulfilled the requirements of the Clean Water Act when they were enacted, as did the town of Newcastle, and those two communities, I think, have had an extremely successful shared service with the joint ownership of municipal water treatment plant. There are many communities in the region that have gotten year after year waivers from this, but they are delivering, in some cases, water that is substantially less pure than ours, and there certainly are some communities nearby that have had water supply problems, water cleanliness problems, periods of time when the water pressure is weak, etc. So bottom line is our water costs from New York City are highly variable, and the costs to filter the water are highly variable, depending on a whole series of factors that affect how much stuff is in the water when we get it and how much money has to be spent in terms of time and electricity and materials and equipment to filter it. We have not changed the water rates in substantial ways since 2009, and the ready-to-serve rates hadn't been changed at that 2009 point for 10 years previous. So we've gone through a pretty extensive analysis. Finance Department has given back a lot of information, and we'll be continuing to work on this, but the bottom line is, over the last couple of years, our water fund has been suffering losses. It's cost us more money to run the plant and to provide the water service than we expected, and the billing has not reached our anticipated levels based on the budget. So there are two components to the bill you pay. One is the consumption rate for how much water you use. The other is what we call the ready-to-serve rate, and that's essentially a fixed cost that reflects in part the capital cost of owning the system and keeping it running regardless of how much people use. So as Mindy reported in her reading of the resolution, both of those rates proposed to be increased this year, and that we believe is going to put this fund back on a stable footing so that we can continue to deliver the high-quality water that we all benefit from.
Yeah, I think I'd characterize it a little bit different than that, though. We knew, and we've known this in the past too, that the water fund was going to take a bit of a hit based on the cost of bulk water sales from New York City, up I think nearly 20% last year or the year before. It's been high the last couple of years, actually. And we've chosen to keep the water rates unchanged despite that in an attempt to mitigate costs to residents as much as we can over time. So this is, in part, there were some operating costs that were increased more than anticipated. Electricity was hard to anticipate going up. Con Edison still needs to explain to me why their natural gas-fired plants, demand us paying more than it did 5 years ago when natural gas was $11 and it's now at $2.45. That is math I don't get or understand, but far be it for me to question Con Edison. Hopefully they'll get their plant over on my Manville Road fixed. But having said that, there is a degree of leveling that we try to accomplish on the board when it comes to different costs that are going to be imputed onto residents, and this is our effort to do that.
All in favor of Resolution 85, the water rates?
Aye.
Aye. Motion approved. Jonathan, number 13.
Resolved that the Board of Trustees of the Village of Pleasantville hereby approves the refuse rates for fiscal 2012-13 as follows. Each condominium unit, $306. One family residence, $408. Two family residents, $612. And three family residents, $918.
Is there a second?
Second.
So these refuse collection rates represent a roughly 1.4% increase over last year. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion approved. Brian, number 87.
Resolved that the Board of Trustees hereby approves the pool rates for the fiscal year 2012-2013 as follows. In the category of residence rates, the family rate will go from $330 to $385.
No,
That's not an increase.
no,
though,
it's an
so
increase. It's before 5/30/12
Right.
and after 5.
It's the early bird discount.
That's right. early
Sorry.
bird.
Family, right.
They're
Okay.
unchanged.
So through.
They're unchanged.
They're unchanged.
That is unchanged from the past year. No increase in the rates.
Sorry.
You had one resolution to read.
I know. I screwed it up. So I don't go to the pool.
Oh, Brian.
Well, if they're unchanged, do I have to read them?
No!
As stated
They're
here within
unchanged.
the record.
Is there a second?
Second.
So, as mentioned, we have not changed the pool rates, and as has been the case every year, if you want to join the pool and do so before the end of May, you get a discount. After the end of May, you pay a little bit more, so we encourage you to hop to it. The entire board visited the pool a couple of weeks ago and did a tour of it, along with Patty and Linda Bellafato, our rec superintendent, and Mario Sansoda, who is our parks foreman, and we have some
Members of PrEP, too.
and a couple of that's right, from the Parks and Rec Advisory Board, Mike Gilfeather, the chair of Parks and Rec Advisory Board. So we have a couple of issues we confront with the pool, one of which is some capital costs in the filter room that we have to incur now, and there are also some potentially significant capital costs down the road for the pool, not only for its sort of plumbing and infrastructure, but also for maintaining and hopefully improving the quality of facilities we offer. The bathrooms, et cetera, are getting a bit long in the tooth and probably need some work. So that will be a discussion to be had. That's
Why
I
are
like that
Basic what?
expression.
That's a graceful,
Long in the tooth.
graceful presentation of the problems of the bathrooms.
Yeah, I won't go into it now. I will take that another time, though.
Did I say anything wrong? Do you
No,
think?
no,
Okay.
that you just...
I just understated it?
You understated it,
Okay.
yes. yes.
Thank you. All right. All in favor of Resolution 87, the pool rates?
Aye.
Aye. Motion approved. That's the last of our resolutions. Again, it's a special meeting tonight just for the purpose of passing these resolutions. Is there any further comment anybody wanted to make?
No.
I would like to officially offer the condolences of the mayor to Trustee Berard, who is, you can't see
feeling
it,
too
but
good.
she has a cast on her leg, so no
It's from,
fun.
it's from the mayor kicking me under the table.
That
So
was a collective kick.
get well
And,
soon.
Roger,
Thank you for being
thank
here.
you very much.
Despite the fact that you're on crutches. So,
Thank you,
is
Mindy.
there a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Thank you. We will see you again the second
7th.
Monday in
May 7th.
May.
No, the 1st.
No, the
Because
1st.
because Memorial Day, we're
All right.
switching.
Okay, May 7th.
We'll be
Our
here
next
next
regular
Monday.
meeting is May 7th with a work session at 7 p.m. Thanks.
That's next one.
Thank you.